And the borders can clearly be happy about what President Museveni did say about them regarding reopening and fully operating in Kampala as well. And you can easily tell that, hey, if that passes by, we can clearly say borders should reduce on their fares to some of the people who have been traveling throughout the night. My name is Jerome Paul Songa. Welcome on board to Smart Means Business. That's among many of the discussions that we'll be having this very day on today's show, discussing the border issue. The borders are now free to loom around the country, even during the night time. As the president was making an address, he clearly said that these are also breadwinners, and if it's being that they are also breadwinners, they positively put something into the economy of Uganda when they make the money late in the night, and they make sure that they still compete favorably and they add something to the economy. We did say that the nightlife economy would not be very active if at all there are no borders. They act like getaways for some of the revelers who normally go out in the night to party. Remember, sometimes taxis do not exceed midnight in most of the areas in the country, and borders are the same means of transport that everybody can literally use during that time. And of course, be the first to know all the updates as regarding to business here on Smart 24 TV. It's SMB is be the first to know every detail regarding business, plus the latest commodity prices that are very fair for you across the country and across the town. A few days into February clearly looking as a positive month for absolutely everybody in the long run. So you can clearly look at it and say, yes, if we continuously go on with the way things are, we can understand that, hey, we can do something about this, and we can clearly move on with things to do with how far business is. And for all the business people out there, you can try as much as you can with this business to see that you revive your businesses. You see that you can recover from the losses that you've incurred in the last 2 years. Everyone out there very excited. When you look at some of the people in the entertainment sector, they're trying to organize as many events and functions as possible to see that they get money, because the revelers are out there hungry for more of this to take place. And as a matter of fact, we can clearly look at that and say, yes, it is the nation is willing to move on away from the COVID-19 pandemic. A number of business discussions are still ongoing, and matter of fact is we will definitely keep you up to speed with that. Now, let's try to get a situation whereby we get into the SMB Insight. And today's Insight, we discuss saving and for retirement. Because in most cases, we are working for the benefit of our bosses and also working for the benefit of ourselves as employees. We always have to save something for our retirement. It may not be necessarily for your retirement in the short run, but in the long run, because there would be a time when you cannot compete with the market at a time whereby there will be new blood or new generation. So your preparation for your retirement is always important for you to know. You need to understand that by the time you click 50 or 60 years, there will definitely be something for you to draw back and see whether you've been able to succeed accordingly or you've failed completely to actually execute a plan or to execute something that will take you through. Well, that aside, let's look at the importance of saving for retirement. No, rather, let's first look at saving for retirement. What do you need to know about saving for retirement? Take a look.
Out of the working population of Uganda, which is around 16 million to date, that's the statistics I have, but it's an old statistics. The numbers could have grown. Only 2.8 people are covered in terms of saving for their retirement. But even out of the 2.8, the numbers show that only around 300 are taken care of under the SAGE, that is the Social Assistance Grant for Empowerment, which is under the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, Gender, Labour and Social Protection. And that one covers only people who are 85 years and above. Yet the retirement age in normal public service is 60 years. And to access your money under NSSF is 55 years. So it means there's a huge gap, even if you are to qualify for that level. Now, there are also public servants who are around 400 to date, around 400,000 to date. Those ones are taken care of under the current arrangement, under the permanent and pensionable arrangement, where they are sure that when they retire, when they reach the retirement age of public service, which is 60 years, they'll be taken care of by government. But we also know that there have been circumstances where the flows, that is the cash, does not come in immediately. So there's a lag. That's why there is a lot of areas of unpaid pension, irregularities, which keeps people in retirement uncertain about the cash flow. Now, the other category is those who save under the NSSF and other occupational schemes, okay? Mandatory schemes and non-mandatory schemes. And that's around 2.1 million, roughly. Now, even out of that 2.1 million people, only 45% or less than 50% are active savers. So active here means that a person who has been saving for around 6 months consistently in a year. So you can say that one has been active in that year. So you can see that percentage. It brings the numbers to around less than 1 million people who are active. But let's go back to the numbers again. Out of those, on average, people have less than 10 million, on average. So at the time of retirement, when we look at the savings amounts to date against the saving population, they actually don't have a lot of money. So in principle, it's still a big challenge, and it's likely to be a very big challenge as people get old. So for us, we think that old age poverty is imminent. It is coming. And that's why we want to deal with it now.
And when you look at the fact that around 45 to 50% of Ugandans are saving, and on that, you will ask yourself a very big question, that how far can we go without saving for the other 50% or the other 55%? This is necessarily when you look about those that are saving, necessarily because those are people and the situations regarding one. When you look at the people who are saving for retirement, mainly we're looking at people like people working in public offices, working in the public service offices. Mainly those are the people who are entitled to the savings, and others that are actually working for different companies that give them offers for the NSSF savings in there. So when you look at it, what is saving for retirement? Mainly, every one of us saves accordingly. Some people save to build a home, others save to buy a vehicle, others save to start up a business, others save because they want to buy something, or they want to make a trip to let me say, to the Middle East, or others save because they want to actually work on their work permits and visas to go and work abroad. So everyone has got a reason to save. But there is always a time whereby we always have to think ahead of us. What do we need to think of? We need to always think of the future. The future takes us back to the narrative of understanding that once we are growing as we, the people, as we are growing as the Ugandans, there is always one thing that people need to understand, that in the next few years, the type of energy you had at 25 is not going to be the type of energy you had at 30. or the type of energy you had at 20 will not be the type of energy you'll have when you're 50. So clicking 50 will not be able to compete with a 25-year or a 30-year-old in certain jobs. Why? They will be more informed at a time. 3, it will be a generational era. It will be their era, or I would say it will be their generation to blossom. And it will be a time whereby almost the generation will be filled up with their age bracket. So favoring that comes in as a favor at a time. So you have to realize and say, at 50, 60, 70, what am I going to do? I need to save something that will help me in my retirement. Maybe save and build rentals or apartments, or save, you start up your own farm out there, and then you know that in your late 70s, late 60s, you will be farming, or you will be in your farm doing all those activities, or engaging in agriculture, or you will be having your rentals or your apartments somewhere, as they will be helping you fetch some money for you in a time to time. So when you look at saving for retirement, it is part of us. It should be part of us. We should understand that saving is very vital and very important for every person out there. And in a world when we all try as much as we can to clearly look at things differently from an angle and a view of all the narratives, we can clearly say it is very important for anyone to save, because the more you save, you get to understand why and how much you make out of your business. Because if at all you can have some savings aside, you have some expenses aside, and then you have some money going in or going back into the business, then the saving clearly shows you that you even have excess money. So the extra money is good for the saving. And also those who don't have too much of the extra money, you can save. And in the long run, this money will be of importance to you. Speaking of importance, what would be the importance of saving for retirement? Is it just mandatory for anyone to save, or is it just a situation whereby everyone just has to go out there and save? Well, let's look at the importance of saving and why one would think of saving. Take a look.
Retirement is a very fundamental issue, and it's something that we think should be appreciated from the onset, and that's the journey we are taking. So I just want to implore people out there, even if you have any form of employment, whether you are self-employed, it doesn't matter. What you need to do to remember that there's a time in your life when you'll not be able to sustain yourself in terms of hard work. There's that time in retirement, or a time in your life when you'll not be having the salary you're earning today. And there's that time in your life, which is in retirement, where the things that you've been going through in terms of sustaining yourself, food, clothing, even paying for utilities, etc., will still be there in retirement. So how you are going to sustain them, you need to plan for them now. So I just want to implore Ugandans, please start early saving for retirement. Keep the momentum. Just be assured that at WUBRA, the sector regulator, we give you the assurance that your funds will be well protected, well invested in those asset classes that are allowed, in order to give you that attractive return that you aspire for, or that you plan to get at that point in time.
Very important for one to save, and the importance of saving can clearly show you that for anyone out there, whenever you're sweating as much as you can, you only sweat and count your sweat by the outcome of the money you've saved, or the money that you're sweating for. Why would we try as much as we can to push for saving for retirement? Mainly, it is the same way as we try as much as we can to push people to invest their money in something very productive. So whenever you're saving in something very productive, or rather investing in something very productive, the outcome is always eminent and evident, I would say. Everyone can easily tell that, hey, here we are, and this is what is going to happen. But that aside, if you're to look at the importance of saving, try as much as you can. Not only saving, by the way, saving for retirement is what would you do in the future when you have no one to help you out. We've had a narrative here in Uganda, and we've had cases, and this is ongoing, practically relevant to society, is that most of the old people, or our parents, our grandparents, are benefiting or are leaving their retirement age, and they're only being taken care of by the help of their children. So it is now the role of the children to take care of their parents, because the parents cannot be able to sustain themselves in the long run. The parents worked tooth and nail to see that these children are somewhere, and during the retirement, the parents had nothing to have, had definitely nothing to prove. So in the shortest time possible, it is when now they have no one to run to, and they have to look to their children. And in scenarios whereby the children are not also faring well in terms of the economic status, you can find that it will be very challenging for almost everyone to say, hey, this is where we are drawing the picture from. But regardless of the fact and regardless of the matter, it is very important for us to save, because there will be a time whereby you cannot rely on these children and all of that. Well, that aside, we have a challenge with saving for retirement more so. That is why most of the people were very excited when they can access the NSSF midterm funds. They can access the midterm funds from NSSF. The issue here is, what is the way forward? What can we do so that we can save for retirement as we sum up our SMB Insight today? Take a look.
The tradition has not been supporting this. There are many things that people have been relying upon in the past. First and foremost, there are our traditional networks, which have been a backbone for our social protection, by and large. Your children support you in old age. We are supporting our parents in old age. The other one are these traditional networks. You support an auntie supports, or you support an auntie in old age. You support your grandparents. You can imagine extending that support beyond your parents, even your grandparents. That social network has been very, very strong. Local groups, village groups, Muno Mukabis and the like, have all been supportive. And of course, there are certain fundamentals which were there. Having a few plantations that can help you to sustain you, a coffee plantation, a banana plantation, or even animals that we've been able to rely on, thinking that they can be able to support us. But what we know that most of those things that require energy and money cannot be sustained when you are old. The plantations we're talking about today, we supplement them to be what they are now. We've not structured them in a way that they can support you in old age. The animals we rear today have been structured in a way that it will be a challenge for you to be able to sustain them because you're not strong. And even that oversight, that energy to move around and monitor it, etc., you'll not be able to have it. And there are so many leakages. Yet what you need in retirement, you need a monthly cash flow. Would any of these things give you a monthly cash flow similar to the one that you're earning today as you work? Probably not. Will they be able to give you that assurance of support when you are sick or when you're in need? Probably not. The plantations we have seasonal harvests, seasonalities. You need a cash flow every month. You don't need a seasonal.
Simply looking at your businesses, can they give you the cash flows? Look at the cash flows of your business. Look at how much money you're making out of the business. Let's look at the profits that you make out of your business here. Important. The most important part, or the most important aspect in life, is trying to utilize the little you have to make the better out of it. And in most cases, some of us greatly look at situations and try as much as they can to add to their businesses. As much as you fight for a lot of things, you can achieve as many as you want. So clearly, let's look at, try as much as we can to draw these discussions here, or draw a lot of situations. For example, I am making 200,000 a month. The big argument by most of the Ugandans is that they cannot save on that money. And then the 200,000, you're making the 200,000. If luckily enough, you're making that out of your business as profit. 200,000. You can still think of, I've seen people trying to build the circles. I don't want to be a motivational speaker or anything here, but you can try to see if you could look at the 200,000 that you're making or 100,000 that you're making as profit in your business. Are you going to put it into use at that particular time? If at all it's not so and you're not going to put it into time at the moment, you can still try as much as you can to put it into use, mpola, or you can try as much as you can to open up a savings pool for you so that you can put in those savings for the long run. Because when we focus on the retirement personality and why we are looking at the perspective of retirement and why it is very important for us to understand that retirement is good, retirement is all this and that, is because we believe that retirement is when you reach an age, just like they say retirement, it is not, you're not going to be earning a lot of money during your retirement. It's only those that are that are on pension that will be earning something at the end of the month. But for you who has been a self-employed person for time immemorial, man, you will definitely want to have that go your way in terms of saving for retirement. My name is Joram Paul Sonka. This is Smart Means Business. This week will clearly be a positive one, and for all of us, it starts sometimes the week that starts to be a dull one. I would, if you're to look at a week like this one officially, very good news started up for the borders, and the border riders are slated to return to office 24/7. They will be working throughout the day. They are very important in the nightlife economy. If so, just a very simple story here as we go into a situation. There is something worrying though. With the economy reopening, everyone is supposed to remain very, very cautious. Trust me, there's this narrative that we need to understand, that we need to build something based on trying as much as we can to be cautious. Why? Because scenarios around Munyonyo, there was an event around Munyonyo on Sunday, and things did not happen to go well, more so during the night time, because a number of the revelers happened to be, let me say, thieves who went out there to beat up others. People started losing border, people lost their items like phones and all that. So it is actually going to scare off some people to go back to celebrations of sort of go out there to support the different musicians or all that in the entertainment sector. So this takes us back to understanding that however much the economy is fully reopened, it should not make us forget that there are thieves out there, and these are people who are always making use of the time before COVID came through, because with COVID, security operatives were always there watching, but now it becomes very difficult to take watch of everybody. So nightlife is very difficult, so everyone has to be very cautious in maintaining that particular one. All right, with that, let's take a very short break. I will return with business reports and later on discussions to do with borders reopening. Stick around.